Have you ever thought about what would happen if you read a book that was written specifically for you? A book that seems to know everything about you and even predicts what will happen in your life? Of course, this is impossible. Right, but what if I told you that this was actually possible? And if you want to test it out, you can do it right now, because today I have prepared 7 books that will change your life forever. These books were chosen especially for you. I believe that everyone who watches this video needs them. And if you choose to get any of these books, please remember that your future self will thank you for it. Now let's go back to the story. Dr. Madeline Ross was a clinical psychologist with a reputation for handling the most disturbed cases. Hospitals across the country referred their most disturbing patients to her private practice. So when Black Hollow Psychiatric Hospital requested her expertise, it was no small matter. Madeline had heard whispers about this case. Patient 313, admitted after a string of violent episodes, including maiming animals and carving bloody messages into strangers' skin. 313 was a mystery. Their crimes bore witness to a fractured psyche, yet they seemed unable to recall them. Each morning they woke in a padded cell, confused and scared, claiming innocence until Madeline arrived. Black Hollow was an old brick building nestled between manicured lawns and dense woods. Inside, stark white halls stretched under fluorescent lights, humming with unsettling droning. A velvet rope blocked access to a door marked 313. Dr. Moore, the head physician, briefed her. He hasn't spoken a word in 6 months. His file contains gaps, missing pieces. We've tried everyone, but he remains mute. Do you think you can help him? Madeline nodded. She knew silence could be deafening, especially in a labyrinth of the mind. Her job was to navigate it. This wasn't just another case. There was a depth here that intrigued her, a puzzle begging to be solved. She was led to the quiet room, the padded cell where 313 resided. It was soundproof, windowless, furnished only with a stainless steel table and chair. In one corner sat a bulky black cube, the only sign of technology. That's the recording device, Dr. Moore explained. And that's the observation panel. It allows us to watch him without him knowing. Our cameras are hidden. Madeline studied the room, its sterile emptiness echoing the hollowness in her patient's eyes. Let's start at the beginning, she said, turning towards the observation panel. As she stepped away from the group, her eyes caught something strange. She turned back, squinting. But when she asked Dr. Moore to step closer, he saw only the blank wall. It's nothing, she muttered, though a chill ran down her spine. No one else had mentioned this before. All the staff, doctors, nurses, and orderlies had failed. What made her think she could succeed where they failed? 2 days later, after observing him for hours, she decided to enter the room. Before doing so, she checked the hidden camera feed. It confirmed what she suspected. 313 had been sitting silently in the corner the entire time. Madeline approached the corner slowly, then sat opposite the patient. "Hello," she said quietly. At first, 313 remained motionless, their face impassive. Then their head turned slightly toward her. "Are you real?" They whispered, their voice hoarse from disuse. "Who am I?" Madeline responded gently, "I'm here to help you." After that day, 313 started speaking, but he never acknowledged the camera. Whenever Madeline entered the quiet room, he would turn and stare at her. She learned that he had no memory of his past, no family, no friends. He knew nothing about himself. During their sessions, he talked about a variety of topics, from philosophy to literature. He was intelligent and articulate, yet couldn't remember anything about his own life. A week into the therapy sessions, 313 whispered, "Don't look at it." Madeline leaned forward. "What?" "It watches. It remembers. If you look at it, it looks back." Madeline dismissed it as psychosis. She couldn't imagine anything in the bare room watching them. But soon after, her assistant Lyle stopped showing up for work. His boss called security to do a wellness check. They found his body in the file room, his eyes gouged out. In his hand was a recording device. The last thing it caught was Lyle whispering, "I saw it." Startled by the news, Madeline immediately reviewed footage of her sessions. Oddly, in every video, she was talking to an empty chair. 313 wasn't there. Had he escaped? Impossible. The room was under constant surveillance. Plus, he wouldn't have left without saying goodbye. Then she noticed something chilling. In the background of every session, behind the one-way observation panel, flickered a shadow, a fleeting glimpse of someone observing them. She demanded surveillance footage of her entering the quiet room. Each time she went in, she was alone. But inside, she remembered 313 vividly, pale, gaunt, with bruises that changed location each day. Those bruises, they were the same as the ones Lyle had. Suddenly, she felt a cold dread seep into her bones. The shadow in the videos, the bruises, it all connected to a horrifying realization. That night, she dreamed of the quiet room. The walls were dripping, pulsing like lungs. She awoke with dried blood on her hands, and her patient file for 313 had vanished. She raced to Dr. Moore. Lyle's death, it was 313, wasn't it? He shook his head sadly. "I'm sorry, Madeline, but he's a danger to us all. We had to take measures." She understood his fear, but she knew Lyle hadn't attacked 313. Something else lurked in those shadows, something her patient was hiding. She confronted Dr. Youssef, the head of the hospital. He frowned at the mention of patient 313. "There is number 313. That room hasn't been used in years." "After your breakdown, Madeline? What are you talking about?" "You were a patient here, Madeline. After your son died, you had a psychotic break. You believed he still spoke to you, that he was trapped in the walls. You created patient 313. You were talking to yourself in those sessions." Suddenly, everything clicked into place. She had been at Black Hollow 2 years ago, not as a visiting psychologist, but as a patient. The staff had mistaken her delusion for a real patient. "No, I'm not a patient," she whispered, her voice cracking. They sedated her and locked her in the quiet room. As the drugs wore off, Madeline laughed. "You think you're helping? You think this is real?" A voice behind her spoke. "It is real, Madeline. You just looked at it." She turned. In the corner, where no camera pointed, stood 313. Smiling. Blood dripped from their mouth. "You should have listened to me, Madeline," they whispered. "It doesn't like being watched. It wants to watch." Madeline screamed as the walls began to pulse again. Ending ambiguity. Was 313 a figment of Madeline's psychosis, or something she had brought into the world by noticing what shouldn't be noticed? Or was Madeline never ill at all, and the hospital was the cage for something far worse?